let's start with you, Kate. Where are you from? You're Chicago.
I'm from Chicago. I was born and raised in Oak Park.
Okay.
Not 9 miles from here, basically. And went to Oak Park River Forest High School. And then went to the University of Wisconsin for undergrad.
Okay.
Didn't know television writing was a thing. And then one day saw the name of a UW alumni in the credits of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I was like, wait, a Wisconsin Wisconsin, it's not in New York, it's not in California, yet somehow they wrote a TV show. And that sort of planted the seed for me. And
nice. What had you been thinking about doing prior to that?
What I was actually doing, which was writing content for interactive video games.
Okay.
I wrote for You Don't Know Jack and worked at Jellyvision at the time. And
very cool.
Yeah.
And Alex, how about you? Where are you from?
I'm from a little town called Winnetka, just 20 minutes north.
Okay,
here.
so a couple of local stories, very good.
Yeah, exactly.
And what did you study? Where did you go?
I went to high school there, and then went down to University of Kentucky randomly and studied philosophy and communication. That's where I met Brad Riddell back in like '02. And then I came back here and did Second City, Improv Olympic, Piven Theater, and then I moved to LA in 2007.
Okay. So did you know in undergrad you wanted to do film, or?
Funny, not really. My mom's a drama teacher at Francis Parker down the street, and I always grew up in the arts. Always grew up around theater and musicals and loved it all, and like didn't know it was real. I didn't know it was for me. I didn't know I could do it. I just thought it was that. It was over there. It was my mom's thing, and then I fell in love with it. I mean, I started doing like a lot of skits and things like that in different groups and whatnot. I started like, and then I fell in love with it. Yeah.
Cool. And so, what was your trigger to move to LA?
I mean, I felt like it was what I was supposed to do. Honestly, I was like on the southern tip of Africa on a 30-day trip where I was shooting a documentary, and I was looking out into the ocean. And I was like, of all the places I could have been thinking about, and it was just like, go to LA, make movies, use it, be in it, and be an influence, and use it for the greater good.
Cool. Yeah. And what about you, Kate? What led to your westward migration?
Well, I got into USC, so that was a big clue. I got into USC because once I realized you could write television, I discovered the existence of the spec script, and I was applying to the Disney Fellowship, and not even close, still to this day, never got to the first round of Disney. But those scripts were good enough to apply to grad school.
Maybe you can let that rectify you.
Well, I think I'm probably a ringer now.
It's true. So you go to SC. Did you want to do television?
I did. I got
sure,
there.
or?
I was like, the first day, they're like, show of hands who wants to do film, who wants to TV, and everyone's very like, I'm going to write and direct. There's like 32 people. If you remember this because we went to school together, tell me, but my recollection is there were like 6 people who were like,
if that.
And I was like, me, I do. And then gradually, semester by semester, like more people were like, so a television writer's room has 10 people in it, and a screenplay has 1 writer. Tell me more about this television.
Very cool. So you went to LA very clearly with a invitation. Did you have an invitation coming out, or you had to go make your own way, sort of?
I made my own way. I mean, I had friends that were out there that I had known. I had been coming out for the prior years. I'd been coming out and meeting people, and I remember I started just writing down everyone I knew, and would start to slowly build more and more people that I knew, and was just went out and started setting like lunches and coffees and dinners, and but yeah, I went out because I knew I wanted to make movies. I wanted that was it. I was done. I was in. I was totally sold. So I was like, I got to start building it now.
And how integral were those relationships you cultivated to your success?
Massive. Everyone has been pivotal in how making a movie or getting anything made. But it was all very important. I mean, our friend Scott Teems was one of the first person I met who writes on Rectify, and he was a guy. My buddy was like, "You got to meet Scott Teems." Went and had coffee with him at the 101 coffee shop in 2007, and he was one of the guys that started. Then he put me in a thing, and I met people on that set, and then I started, But yeah, I mean, everyone's been pivotal. I mean, people I met out here when I was doing PA work and being an extra on Prison Break. I met people during that. So,
and did you feel that being a writer, director, actor helped you because you had a broader skill set, or?
Sometimes it's Yeah, I mean, yes, for sure. I think sometimes it's like, which one do you want to do, you know? But I ended up being like, I'm doing it all because I'm not waiting around for anybody. I hated waiting for getting cast in things and waiting on a casting director to tell me if I was the right person or not. I just like, so I started writing a long time ago. I've been writing since I was in grade school, and then I started realizing in like early in like 2002, I think I took a screenwriting course, and then at school, and I started realizing, oh, I love screenwriting. I've always loved movies, and so I started writing, and then I knew how I wanted it to make it and shoot it, and then I also knew how it needed to be acted. So I mean, I was on a panel once with Peter Weller. And he was like, I write and direct and act, and I act because it's just one less asshole to deal with on set. So that's one way to look at it. But you know, it's one less person I'm talking to a lot. You know, I guess I'm talking to myself a lot. But no. So that's kind of the.
And so, Kate, you had a little bit more of a focused approach. So what did you find helpful about your time at SC in preparing you for the world of TV?
Well, the time to write is invaluable. And
Did you find that helped you cultivate the habit?
yes, yeah, it did. And also the examples of work that we have access to. They have a library there that's invaluable. And the hour-long drama class, which was taught by Jeff Melvoin, who was a showrunner, he ran that class like it was a room. I had 3 semesters at USC where I interned, or didn't intern, tried to intern for, Fox lot, I know I was on, Paramount, I know I was on, I think I was on the Disney lot. I would just go and I'd interview with some development assistant, and they'd be like, yeah, I don't know why no, thank you, goodbye. And at 4th semester, I'm gonna graduate in May, I'm like, I don't have a single internship at all. And went into interview for something that was actually in a writer's office, which is unheard of, and could just tell, like, this woman was another in an endless series of like, yeah, but you don't have any industry experience. Why would I? And I was like, and my professor, who teaches hour-long drama, runs the class like a writer's room. So I know that the writer's room is a no-holds-barred environment, and you can't be offended, and you have to like just roll with it. And I also know when writers are writing, you have to leave them alone. So I got that. I completely understand that. And that's just me pulling out of my butt like examples of things I learned in that class. And she'd written already on my resume, really, really green. And, but somehow, and I like to think it was Professor Melvoin's class that did it, she brought me in and she gave me a 1-day-a-week internship, and then Survivor style, like one person got a job, another person got fired, another person got a job, another person got fired. And then I had like 3 days a week interning, and I actually got some experience out of it.
Nice.
So.
And what show was that?
That was Mad Men.
That was Mad Men.
Yeah.
That's a pretty important show.
At the time, you didn't know it. At the time, you were like trying to explain to people what AMC is. Like, they're gonna have original programming. No, not like Robert Duvall in a Western. No, really, like every week a show for weeks in a row. They were like, no, I don't understand what you're saying.
And what types of duties or experiences did you gain?
First of all, most importantly, that I'm going to do whatever needs being done. And like the thing that happened over and over and over again was I would set up this lavish lunch for the script read-through, which is Matt had come from Sopranos, and we had writers from the sitcom world. So we had these live read-throughs. I'm told they were hilarious, and the executives came, and there was pasta and salad and waters. Set the whole thing up, put everyone's little card out, and then go downstairs and cover the assistant's phones while she went to the read-through. So everybody's at the party, and I'm like sitting at the phone, which is not ringing because anyone who would call our office is actually at the read-through. Just if anyone calls, I'm gonna answer that phone, and no one ever did. But you know, stock the kitchen, make copies, collate scripts, do research. Turned out to be like the money game of that.
Research for the show or research for other people?
Yeah,
or all
for
of the above?
1963 New York, what would be true then? What would people get paid? What would they buy a house for? And I love this story. So Roger is a World War II veteran, so he would only say the word kaiten the way a vet would. He wouldn't say it in the authentic Japanese way. So I called a Virginia Naval Museum and spoke to a docent who'd served in World War II. And I was like, can you say it to me again? Say, okay, one more time. Okay, got it. And I wrote the phonetical spelling out, and I sent it to the writer, and she used it on set that day to give John Slattery the correct pronunciation.
That's awesome.
Nice.
So that's the kind of stuff I did.
Very cool. And you're doing all this for free?
Yeah. Oh, completely unpaid. I got lunch.
Okay.
And I didn't have to pay for my own parking.
Okay, nice. When did you work for free, Alex? Or what kind of work did you have to do for free before you finally got paid?
I mean, I was a PA. I mean, one of the first things that I did to learn how to make a movie was my buddy. I almost got a part in a short film, and it was a super 16 millimeter film, $17,000, 2-day shoot, and he goes, "You didn't get the part, but I want you to produce it with me," because I think because he saw that I had this kind of maybe these skills. And I went in and like just produced this thing 2 weeks out, and we had a 2-day shoot, and then post-production was all summer. So it was like I learned the whole process and didn't get paid a dime. But yeah, I mean, I was just getting around sets as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was doing, like I was an AD, I was a second AD, I was a PA, I was an extra, I was just like anything I could do. And a lot of stuff too, as far as like acting goes, was like finding student films and being in them and just getting experience. And then, I mean, it wasn't free, but I got one of the parts in Tony and Tina's wedding.
Okay.
And I was getting paid $25 a night and pasta, and it was lovely. But it was a fun kind of first job in the business.
Cool.
But yeah.
And so how did that eventually translate to all that experience, all that time learning to produce, to your first gig? Did you make a short, or did you?
Yeah, the first short I made, this guy came to me. He was like, "I got $2,500. Do you have a script? I want to make a short." I was like, "I got a script. I'll figure this out." It's called Sugar, and we put it together. It ended up being $13,500, 2-day shoot in April of 2007, and it was a lot of pre-production. I didn't know any DPs in town. All I knew was Pete Biaggi, who was like the best guy in town, who's amazing. And Pete's a good friend now. I don't know if he's here, but Pete's awesome. And he was like, "All right, kid, I'll give you a notch on your I'll give you a step on your ladder." and so he came in and shot it, and he taught me a lot about directing. And that was one of those things too where I was looking for a director. And this producer, Lee Jones, who also lives here, I don't know what she's up to now, but she said, "Why don't you just direct it?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I read On Directing Film by David Mamet, and then he's like, "You know, there's going to be one question on set. It's going to be, where do you put the camera? And the only answer is over there." And so I knew where over there was,
Right.
I always knew where to put a camera, and so it wasn't that easy, but I ended up it came with ease, and it was something that showed me. I learned very early that it was something I was meant to do and loved doing. So yeah, I made Sugar, and then I kept making short films. I mean, the next one, a guy came and said, "What does it cost to make a short? 20 grand?" I was like, "That'll work. Yeah, we could. Yeah, sure. 20 grand is exactly what it costs to make a short." So it just kept being like, you know. And then I did commercial work, and so I've been kind of doing all of them.
Cool.
Along
And
the way.
you edit your own stuff, or you?
No, it's one thing. No, but I actually collaborate with a lot of people on every film. But I find editors and work with them very, very closely. So yeah, I haven't really. I had a couple editors, and I had a guy that I worked with a couple times, Graham Metzger, who's in town, and then I've worked with different editors. They've either gotten like bigger, huge jobs, or married, or who knows, or moved, or something,
Right.
and so it's one of those things where you just kind of keep finding the right person.
And did you have? So as a person who's done a short here and a short in LA,
Yeah.
would you compare the two? Is it easier one place or the other? Is it all about the people you know? Or?
Well, I made my feature here called WarrenTheMovie.com. And I made it here, and the crews here are amazing, hard-working, solid people that just want to work and get on set and just do the job. And LA is the same. I found great crews there, great people there. The people that work are actually working, have great work ethic, you know, and so I found great. I mean, LA is they're a lot more savvy to production, I guess, but so is Chicago. I mean, there's stuff going on all the time, but locations can be difficult in LA because everyone's trying to make a buck off you if they know you're going to be shooting and they think it's going to be like a huge budget. And but you know, it's all about connecting with the people that where you're going to be shooting. You know, on my short film Babe, we lost a location the day of, so I just called this place that was closing at 3 p.m. called Pat and Lorraine's Coffee Shop. The first scene of Reservoir Dog was shot there, and he was like, "Yeah, sure, come on in." And so we shot there that evening. But it's just about connecting with the person and letting them know what you're passionate about, why you want to shoot there, and usually you can break down the whole like, you know, just pay me thing. You know, I mean, it depends, but yeah.
Awesome. So Kate, where did you go after Mad Men?
Really, Really Green. That woman's name was Jennifer Hutchison.
Okay.
And she had worked on The X-Files with Vince Gilligan. And she heard that Vince was doing a TV series and moved to Breaking Bad to be his assistant, thinking there would be an opportunity to be in the room. And there was. But once she got in the room, the bullpen, the area of desks outside of the writer's room, was empty and there was no answering the phones. So she called me up and she said, "Would you want to be writer's PA on Breaking Bad?" And I was like, yes. Yes, I would like to be writer's PA on Breaking Bad.
Was it a thing yet, or was
it had just aired its first season, or
Okay.
its first season was had just aired.
Okay.
We had one of those cut short by the writer's strike.
Right, I was
first
going to
seasons.
ask. So what
Yeah.
were you as an intern? Were you stopped dead by the writer's strike?
More or
were you-
less, more or less. I marched.
you?
I moved to LA on the day of the writer's strike, which
Yeah.
is a perfect time to move. November 5th, 2007.
Yeah. I actually got a little bit of interim work because of the writer's strike, that some assistants had panicked and said the shows are all shut down, and they took like assistant to director jobs, which were still viable. And I ended up covering as writer's assistant on Mad Men in season 2 for like 6 weeks or something, while Kater Gordon finished her job, which was a night writer, I think.
Okay.
Anyway.
How'd that work out?
It was super fun, and then I was heartbroken that I wasn't sufficiently charming to be asked to stay. But it was her job. She should sit there and do that job. So anyway, Breaking Bad, writer's PA, and then after I'd been there about 10 days, it became apparent that Vince's assistant, who's also Jenny, couldn't be in the room. She had to be out of the room, so that became part of my job as well.
Okay.
And then this education began where everyone in Albuquerque who had questions sent them to the producers, and the producers sent them to me. And then twice or 3 times a day, I'd go into the writer's room with a stack, and I'd be like, "Do you like these boots or these boots? Do you like this set or this set? Do you like this hairstyle or this hairstyle? What did you have in mind for the baby's outfit in that episode?" And I would just take notes as fast as I possibly could. And sometimes we wouldn't have anything at all what he wanted, or sometimes we'd have exactly what we wanted. Then I'd go back and I'd just start typing emails and answering phone calls and typing emails. And so I was like this human conduit between the showrunners' decisions on props, set, casting, locations, everything, and the people who are actually doing it. And so I ended up being, without ever having met any of these people, on a first name basis with our ADs, our line producer, our set decorator, our props mistress, our costume designer, and I still connect with those people. And the first AD, Polly Matson, got me a pilot that I script coordinated on at one point, and she and I just worked together on Rectify again.
Nice.
So that job really introduced me to a tremendous number of people and gave me a lot of hands-on experience on how production works behind the scenes.
Very cool. And how long were you at Breaking Bad before? Did you become script coordinator there?
It's the same job.
Same job, okay.
Because they're insane like that. You take notes in the room during the day, and then when a script comes in, if it's not in production, at the end of the day, you process it. And if it is during production, you leave the room and you process it, and the writer's PA comes in and take notes. And that's what Jenny was doing. So I would say that year, I think we went to production in August. By late August, I was in the room taking notes when Jenny was processing a script, just for like a couple hours, and then I'd go out and send her my notes, and she'd process those and put them in. But already I was getting my feet wet and,
Nice.
and learning the job.
How did the room compare to Mel Boyne's class?
Well, no one shot at me in Mel Boyne's class, so that's right there.
Who shot at you in the Breaking Bad writer's
Vince
room?
Gilligan is a dead-eye marksman, and he finds it very, very relaxing to shoot guns. And he has an air pistol. It shoots BBs. It's not bullets. But if you ever see pictures of me working at Breaking Bad, I'm always wearing glasses. Those were safety glass. I have 20/20 vision. I just need to keep my eyes covered at all times. The target was directly over my head.
Like an apple?
No, it was just on the wall behind
Okay.
me. And so he would stand at one end of the room, and he would just, for relaxation purposes, he would just practice taking shots. And
Sure.
he always wanted to take us out shooting, but we just never got around to it. We were always too busy in the room.
You ever been shot at a job?
No, I've never been shot at. No, I haven't had that, thankfully.
All right, so before you made Warren,
Yeah.
when did you make Coffees? Was that before or after?
Coffees we shot 2011, released 2012. Yeah, we're putting that together, trying to find the money, found some money, and then Funny or Die saw it or saw the script, and they came in and produced it with us. Me and my producing partner on it was a guy named Jory Cordy, and we had some cast. We brought Levin Rambin from Babe, and then she dropped out, and then we found Nikki Whalen, and then put it all together, and we shot.
So when you said you started to sort of want to write roles for yourself, want to make stuff for yourself, how then did you go from having that script to getting the money to make the film?
Well, I mean, it's just everything. I mean, it's intention. It's like, please give me the money. You know, I would write kind of maybe manageable projects, like scripts that I knew I had a location for, or knew I could get a location, or like, you know, Babe is a two-hander in a diner about a couple that is in a post-breakup, you know, and it's a dialogue, it's a conversation. So I wasn't like doing a big, huge like car wreck or explosions or anything like that. So.
And your experience had given you familiarity with budgets and everything.
Yeah.
So you knew to write within those.
Yes, yeah. So there's, you know, just something that's, I mean, I still write stuff that I know I can go and shoot and make, but I also now have like gone off and started writing things that are bigger and bigger scale, just because it's like now you know that you can get the resources really with just putting it out there and desiring it and wanting to do it. And so I just put these things together through begging, borrowing, and stealing guns to people's heads. No, but I always say, like, to go make a movie, just go to a pawn shop and get a gun and just point it at your friends and tell them to give you the money. No, but but yeah, I just would ask people that were I knew wanted to get behind what I was doing, and they started financing what I was up to, which is cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did it get easier with every film? Not necessarily getting money, but the whole process?
Money never. I don't know how to say. I don't know if it's easier now or not. It's still very difficult raising money. But I think it's also about how you look at it and start to look at it as a partnership, and and maybe they don't think of it that way. But yeah, I mean, the process, I now have a very much like a love and ease and a comfortability on set, and I mean, I that's where I feel at home. But it's always a challenge, but I love it. So it's not really hard. I think the process of getting a project together can be frustrating. And then there's a moment where just finally the money comes in and it works, and you start going into production.
Cool. We're going to open it up to questions in a couple minutes. So if you have any questions for either Kate or Alex, please make your way over to that side of the theater. So you had aspired to write, but had been on staff for quite some time, glimpses into the writer's room. How did you then bridge into your first script?
Well, I saw a lot of people flame out, like magnificently flame out.
What was a common sort of variable of the flameouts?
Entitlement, every single step of the way. Entitlement. In fact, in a twofer, a staff writer got let go, and that same day, an intern pulled me aside and said, "Does this mean I could get a freelance?" And unfortunately, he'd been overheard by another assistant. And when word spread that he'd said that, that was his last day. Because it was just like toxic to have somebody that career oriented while everyone else is walking around like the wounded dead, you know, just like, so what just happened? How did that? And there's one person is thinking of themselves. So
real quick,
Yes.
I think this is an important thing to hit on. So you had to be very aggressive to get the job, right?
Ooh, that's a good question. In a weird way, no.
Okay.
In a weird way, I would say my cover letters and my approach to everything was, listen, I know this job is somebody you're going to work with every single day for 6 months or 8 months. It's a very personal choice. So I would love to be a part of this, but if I'm not the best fit or you have somebody else you'd rather have, I completely understand. And that was kind of like my go-to, I'm not going to be crying into my pillow tonight if you don't let me come back, but I'd love to be involved. Because I found, and that intern was a startling example of how that works, that there was a population in Los Angeles that was really out for the main chance. Like, yeah, maybe I will get a freelance. And by the way, like it happens. Big shows, 22 episode season shows, when they hit the midpoint and all the writers are on set or on script and there's like no one in the room, a writer's assistant who had like a fully fleshed out pitch could like say to their boss one night, like, you know, I was thinking maybe we could do an episode about this, and if that got a warm reception, they could flesh it out some more, and that could be a script. That has happened to friends of mine who write on Cold Case, who wrote on White Collar. I don't work on those kinds of shows. So I work on shows that don't make that much money. And so I think that's what helped me, was that I was always like, I'm here to pay my dues. I'm here to learn. And that was the other thing, is like almost immediately on Mad Men, I realized I was in over my head. I mean, that writer's room worked like quantum physicists breaking story. And I was like, how is that an episode? I don't know. She takes horseback riding lessons? Yeah, it's an episode. It's awesome. Like, so I was like, I'm going to have to watch this for a long time to figure out how this works.
How about you, Alex? Have you seen people flame out or anything like that?
What is your definition of flaming out? Flaming
That's
out.
a good question.
If you leave
Making
with
an
your
ass of
possessions in a
themselves so you
box
don't want
before
to.
the job ends.
Well, I've seen people fizzle out. I've seen people flake out a lot. You know, people say they want to finance something or say they're interested and have no ability to actually do it, or don't actually, you know, come through. Or it happens all the time. You'll have an amazing lunch and the investors are down and everyone's in, and then like the paperwork starts happening, or the legal, or you put the lawyers in the email, and then it's like, I gotta go. You know, but in independent, yes, everybody flames out in independent film because no one's as persistent and as excited about the project than me or you or whoever's doing and spearheading the project. You gotta stick with it. If you don't stick with it, no one's gonna care. No one's gonna make your movie. You're making your movie, you know, and I'm making my movie. And I work with people that come along and they will get on the team or get off the team, and it's so yeah. I think there's a lot of that, you know, but you know, everyone that I've been on big sets with are really grateful and thankful to be there, and so I don't see a lot of that. Once you're at craft service eating little carrots and talking with people about how much they don't like their agents, then you're happy to be on set. But
cool.
Yeah.
Real quick before we open it up to questions, how long had you been an assistant or intern before you got your first script?
I started at Mad Men like the second week of March in 2007, and I got the official assignment that I was co-writing a script with Ray the first week of December 2013.
Okay.
So 6
And
years.
Just real quick.
Yes.
What happened to that script?
I was nominated for a Writers Guild Award.
That's a
High
pretty
five.
good debut.
High five, right here, high five.
Thank you.
All right. Worth the wait. Let's open it up to questions here.
Hi. I was wondering if you could explain the different levels, the writer's PA, writer's assistant, script coordinator, and is that the hierarchy? Okay, could you just give us maybe some more information on that? Thank you.
Well, underneath the writer's PA are office PAs who are in the production office. And that's really the entry-level job because it's, and please chime in, there's a lot of Xeroxing, there's a lot of getting lunch and running for groceries. And from that pool, generally, promising candidates or interns are pulled to be the writer's PA, which is a runner, an errand doer. You know, if the producers decide they want to buy donuts for the office, it's the writer's PA who's going to go get those, keeping the kitchen stocked, running copies, collating the scripts, just keeping the office running. Often the writer's PA will be one of the first people on setting up the office, the phones, the computers, installing final draft, just grunt work, moving desks. The writer's assistant is in the room with the writers most of the time, taking notes. Touch typing is pretty much mandatory for that. And you have to have a really good ear for dialogue and be able to get word for word what's being pitched when they do dialogue. Not everything, but when dialogue, that's what that job is. And also just you are the memory of the show. If you remember a pitch from 3 months ago, you have to pull it up. And then the script coordinator gets the scripts, proofreads them, and distributes them to the crew. And sometimes that job, like I say, is the writer's assistant as well, but it can also be its own thing. And then we didn't talk about this, but the showrunner's assistant has kind of hierarchy above all of those jobs. And when a pilot is shot, often the person who is the creator's assistant will have his or her pick of any job that they want, and that when the show goes to series, and they usually choose to be writer's assistant because that's the most promising.
Yeah, I mean, maybe to expand on that a little bit is just how important it is to be an assistant or to PA or any of that, to be on the phones, to roll calls, all that stuff. It's absolutely necessary to know and understand how all this works, because then you become a much better professional down the road, and you understand all the ins and outs, and it really is very valuable to just like get the golden ticket isn't coming. I mean, you're not going to just get an Oscar. You work towards all that, and by the time someone wins an Oscar, they're winning it because it's like kind of a byproduct of what they're already doing. You know, it's in the DNA of yeah.
Next question.
Hi, thanks so much for joining us today. So Alex, when it comes to film, and Kate, when it comes to television, what, in your opinion, would be the ideal first job to get when you're trying to break in? Like ideally, when you get there to Los Angeles, what would be the first job you would want?
Yeah, I mean, I think being a PA and extra. I mean, like, get on set. Learn any way you can. Extra work. Don't be above any of it. Just love it and own it and be like, this is what I'm doing. And you might have come from lots of money. You might whatever it is, but the business of the way it works is growing towards all that and learning, and it's great for you. It's a great experience. You're gonna be blessed and you're gonna value it, rather than thinking like I should just be immediately a director. It's like, I mean, you could do that. You could also just go direct your first short and do it like a 5 to 10 minute short, and do it well and get experience in that way. But know that it's okay to keep making them to get to your feature, or So I don't know. That's what I think.
Well, the PA is a good way to go. There's a sort of a threshold of breaking in that some people get stumped by. Something I have seen work remarkably well are people who go to the agencies and cover a desk for a year or two, because the big agencies, when they know you don't want to be an agent, they don't want to make you stay and keep being an assistant covering a desk. And the other assistants, knowing that they are facing the same crossroads, will get together and they'll like brainstorm, like, oh, this client has this show going and this show is like just staffed their assistant, so they have an opening there.
Right.
And I think I know like 4 or 5 people who went from an agent's desk to a writer's PA job or a showrunner job. You don't get your pick, you get what's available, but they'll put you there, and then if it works out, what follows from that is all on you. But you just spent 2 years reading scripts and answering calls from studio heads, so that's great introduction.
Oh yeah, I think agent.
I don't know why more people don't talk about that, except those jobs are not easy to get either.
They're not easy to get, but the agent trainee system is really great. I mean, you're in the middle of it all. If you're at CAA or any of the big agencies, you're hearing everything that's going on. You're right in the middle of it.
You're reading everything.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I actually, why don't know, we should just go get jobs. No.
Yeah, we should do that right now. I'm busy for like the next.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Any other questions?
Okay, I had a question asking, like, when you move out to LA, is there like any way to kind of like differentiate between like people that are offering jobs that are legit, and if there's any like danger of people who will like prey on people who don't really know what they're doing And like, what are some like red flags to kind of look for?
I can talk about the one internship I was offered before Mad Men was a totally reputable company. Like they're in business, they do work. They have still to this day have a robust facility on like Magnolia or something. The internship was they like walk me past reception. They're like, you'll cover reception at lunch when the receptionist is at lunch. We keep walking, and then we need this sort of taken care of. And they opened a door, and it was a closet full of legal boxes. And they were like, yeah, so this needs to be organized. And I was like, this is not an internship. This is a job you're not paying anyone to do. And I didn't take that. But my sensor, my danger sensor, is if I'm asked a question and I answer the question, and then the person who asked the question doesn't seem to have heard what I said and then answers it themselves, making themselves the first person hero of a story where everyone is against them and that you don't understand how hard this is and no one can make this show but me, then I'm like, you are not actually dealing with the rest of the world. You're in your own place and everyone else is like against you. I won't work with people like that because they're unpredictable.
You're right, and they're not. You can't trust them.
Yeah.
Yeah, or they're negative, or
Yeah.
they just are negative. Like I don't.
It's
like
only a matter of
being-
time before you're the one who's like, oh.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think just do whatever it takes. You know, there's a lot of that. You know, just if someone if you know this guy works on a TV show or whatever, and he needs like a person to help him move or help him with boxes. I mean, my buddy Ryan and I worked for the guy that was one of the big reality producer. Like we moved a bunch of boxes in an office to another office. You know, stuff like that. You just got around. We just got around people that were doing stuff. You know, and I wasn't like I wanted to be in reality, but it was just stuff that was. I think we were being paid like $100 for the day or something, and it was just stuff that like to get money, to make money and to make connections, and so just kind of do whatever it takes. I think is the mentality that to just have your own goal, have your vision of what you want, know what it is, start to help yourself identify it, and then work towards that. You know, the minute you're derivating from what you really want to be doing is kind of where my gauge is. You know.
Sorry to cut you off, but we gotta wrap it up.
Oh, we gotta wrap it up.
So to sum up, no job too small.
Yep.
Yeah.
Persevere.
No paycheck too small.
No paycheck too small.
That's right.
And ultimately, it's you want to be cool to work with and work with cool people, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
at
the
that.
most important stuff. Cool. Where can they find you on Twitter?
Alex Bay, AlexBeh.
Okay.
Kate Powers, KATPOWERS.
All right. DeWitticisms. Thank you very much for coming out. We really appreciate it.
Thank
you,
you.
Alex. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.